What's good with y'all, boys? Welcome back to the episode of Rand Kyle Everything Sports Podcast. Today we're here to break down our college football bets of the week. Last week, Ray went 2-2, making him 11-8 on the season. And last week, I went 2-0, making me 7-4-2 on the season. So we're both positive. Now lose money over here, man. So Ray, what are your first lot of college football?
A lot of really weird spreads this week. I think there's a lot of money to be made in college this week. My first bet of the week is going to be Georgia minus 14 at minus 105 versus Florida. This Florida team has not looked good, especially not against Georgia. Lost 5 of the last 6 versus Georgia and only covered the spread twice. So I feel like this Florida team is more of like the little stepson to Georgia. I think Georgia's slowly, and not so slowly recently starting to get better and better and better. And I think this Florida team is on a downhill spiral. So I think this game is going to be this rivalry game is going to get out of hand quickly, and I think Georgia's going to handle Florida with ease.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. My first bet was Georgia minus 14.5. The only concern I would have is that they're playing at Florida, and Brock Bowers is out. But I mean, like you said, this Florida team is spiraling in the wrong direction. And this Georgia team is just trending up as well. I think Carson Becker's been playing great. He just continues to build his confidence. So I agree with you. I mean, that's a great first pick as far as I'm concerned.
Hey, first duo lock of the channel. Moving on, my next lock, I have Penn State minus 32 versus Indiana at minus 110. Now, I know you look and you say Penn State, ooh, that's a big line, especially if they're just coming off a loss against Ohio State. But before last week, Penn State was 12-0-1 against the spread, so on a big run going forward. Now they're 12-1-1. I expect them to bounce back. Indiana hasn't covered a spread in their last 4 games. And was blown out 52-7 earlier in the year by Michigan, so they can't handle well against good teams. This Penn State team has something to prove after losing their first game of the year. They want to prove they're still contenders, and I think they're going to run up the score on this Indiana team. Expect Penn State to be in the 50s, and Indiana not to score much at all.
For my second lock of the week, I've got Oregon versus Utah going over 49.5 at minus 110. I really like this Oregon team. They're coming off a tougher than expected game against Washington State, but they still put up 38. They're averaging 47 points a game. Utah's coming off their biggest game of the season, putting up 32 points last week against USC. But this Oregon defense is better, but I think that quarterback for Utah is gaining some confidence, and we know what Oregon brings to the table. They're ridiculous. Their defense is a lot better than USC's, but I do think that Utah still will be able to finally put up about 17 to 20 points, and I do think that Oregon can do the rest. I do think Oregon will win this game handily, but I expect them to reach that 50-point mark.
Next up for me, I have Texas minus 17.5 versus BYU. I think everybody likes this Texas team after losing that Oklahoma game, and then now they're scared. Now everybody's starting to look at them a little sideways, but I'm still looking at them straight on. I still think they're a big contender, especially in the Big 12. But this BYU team was beat 44-11 just 2 weeks ago by a not so great TCU team. This Texas team now coming off a scare and a loss. I think they're going to have a lot to prove in this game. This BYU team is not great by any means, so 17.5 points is just not a big enough line for them to cover. I don't think they'll keep this game close. I think Texas will run away from this one from halftime.
For my third and final lock of the week, I'm staying with that Oregon versus Utah game. I'm taking Oregon minus 6.5. Like I said, I really like this Oregon team. I think Utah's at a max high right now. Winning their biggest game of the season against a fraud in USC. I don't think USC is a very good team, and I think that they're going to go from USC to Oregon and realize that they're not similar teams at all. And I think Oregon will come out and dominate them, especially after kind of the lackluster performance they had last week against Washington State. So I like Oregon minus 6.5 at minus 110.
I almost took that lock too. I think that's a good play. But thanks for locking in with us this week. Free cash coming up this week and going forward. So stay locked in. We'll see y'all next week.